Hello everybody, welcome back to JRE in a nutshell. I'm your host Rafa, and this week we have 4 interviews that are pretty straightforward, pretty easy, I would say. They speak, on each interview, they speak about 90% of the time about the same topic, just deep into it. So it's very easy to determine whether or not you want to spend the 3 hours and watch the episode, or whether you just want to watch the highlight. And there's not even a necessary urgency for timestamps for that reason. I did, of course, the timestamps for one of them anyway. And and actually that's the reason why I decided to do timestamps for that episode, because the other 3 were pretty straightforward, and this one, even though it also is, they speak about other things as well. So it's pretty interesting in general. Alright, cool. I hope you're excited. I am. Let's get started. So let's start with Forrest Galante. This is one of the jungle episodes of Joe. I guess we all know that he likes this wildlife topic, and he hunts himself and etc. I'm not gonna get into that, but it's very obvious that he likes this thing, and he does very often these jungle episodes, I call them. So this is one of them. Forrest Galante, he's a expert on rare species, you can say, and he has this new book called Still Alive, and they speak about so many of these rare species. They speak about the Tasmanian devil, and they speak about some small underwater things and huge snakes, the biggest snakes that you can find, and some kind of Bigfoot. They talk a little bit about Bigfoot, or whatever Bigfoot means. He says immediately straight, like, I don't believe in the Loch Ness Monster, I don't believe in Bigfoot. So it's like, from the beginning, it's like, I'm not crazy, okay? I come from science. So okay, that's a good start. And they also speak about things that are that current animals can do, like ants, what ants do, working teamwork and stuff like this. And very, very interesting, they speak about the possibility of bringing the mammoth back and put them in Siberia. They're prepping some place in Siberia where they're gonna have all these mammoths, and they're gonna just bring them back from extinction. From experience, I think I see that every time that humanity fucks with nature, something wrong always happens. But go for it. It's very interesting topic. The science of how they're gonna do it and all that stuff is very interesting. So yeah, if this topic interests you, you can check this podcast out. It's a very cool interview. I would give it 3 nuts. Because I'm not really into that subject that much, but the conversation was cool, so 3 nuts. So now we move on to Belal Muhammad. This is a MMA episode, so obviously 95, probably 99% of the time they're talking about MMA. They speak about everything that has to do with not only MMA, but MMA related. They speak about injuries, they speak about even operations like liposuction and stuff like this. They speak about boxing, they speak about glove things, like, I don't know, the science of gloves, you can say. I don't know how to call it, but just the type of glove that MMA uses versus the type of glove they should use to avoid accidents, stuff like this. But it's purely about MMA. I like MMA. I found this episode interesting. I would give it 3 nuts, but if you don't like MMA, you can completely skip. So, and now the episode with Louis C.K. I love Louis C.K. and I love stand-up comedy, so for me this episode was amazing. It's 90% or 99% about stand-up comedy. They speak about the past, when they met. They know each other since their early 20s. So they speak about the history of comedy, how comedy is now, the future, the potential of comedy, and super interesting. Different theories about comedy as well, and techniques, writing techniques, and people, comedians, of course, and amazing episode. Louis also has a very nice philosophical moment when he says something basically like, we shouldn't get distracted on these nuanced things because we are living so much better than other people who have it so much worse. And it's very, very nice kind of little positive rant, you can say, speech. All in all, I would give it 4 nods because I love stand-up comedy. If you don't like stand-up comedy, you're gonna find it super boring probably. But I love stand-up comedy, and everything that they spoke was amazing. I heard this episode from start to finish without stopping it. I don't do that very often. So yeah, great episode. Definitely recommended. Now, Jimmy Corsetti and Ben Van Kerkwyk. These guys, they come from this theory of the ancient civilization that Graham Hancock comes from, that Joe speaks about constantly and has people constantly about the subject. I thought it was not necessary. I didn't think it was very interesting, but I slowly, with so much intensity from him, and that he brings so many people that talks about it, I become more interesting slowly in the subject. So yeah, these guys, they speak about Atlantis mostly. They speak about the pyramids and the Egyptian civilization, and of course about these cataclysms and about end of the worlds, end of civilizations in the past, and our situation now from the future. Very interesting. They also go, they have pockets of conspiracy or controversial hot topics, let's say, where they talk about Twitter, they talk about Elon, they talk about political stuff. So it's very interesting all in all. That's one of the reasons why I decided to timestamp it, because the information is interesting, but also they deviate from the main topic also a little bit, in difference with the other 3 episodes, which is everything about the same topic. So definitely check it out. Check out the timestamps. If you don't really care that much about this ancient civilization thing, that you can at least, and you only like the controversial stuff, you are here for the gossip, then check out in which minute they're gonna talk about the hot topics. In this case, I would give this episode 4 nuts, because it's interesting. It became interesting to me, the part of this ancient catastrophes and stuff, and also because I like the controversy and the conspiracy theory stuff. So everything was quite fun. So I would give it 4 nuts. So now let's go to the timestamp of this eye-opening episode. It completely defies everything we know about the Egyptians, the history, the pyramids, everything that the universities have told us. It's complete bullshit, or at least so it says in the evidence. The episode begins as usual with introductions, and then they move right away, 30 seconds, into ancient civilizations. They start with Atlantis, with where Atlantis is supposed to be now. Apparently they found Atlantis. You can Google it yourself. I was planning to put the coordinates of it, but then I realized it's so easy to find, it's not really necessary. Just go on Google Maps, put the satellite page where you see geographics, not the map, and just Google either Richat Structure or the Eye of the Sahara, and it's unbelievable what nobody knows. Like, I had no idea. They speak about this for a while. They speak about ancient Egypt as well. They speak about cataclysms, and they go back to Atlantis, and then it begins the evidence, kind of the part of the conversation. They talk about this for a while. It begins basically with, why are they suppressing it? Why is this information not coming out? And then they speak about why the people in the universities are so stubborn to admit and accept all of this evidence. And then they go step by step with all of the evidence, from Japanese sarcophagus that they found that they look really similar to Egyptian ones, to vases. The techniques and the way that they constructed these vases is some technology that we cannot even do today. The perfection and the symmetry is ridiculous. And they also ask, what do the scientists say when you confront them about this information? What do they answer? They say, well, we haven't had that opportunity, only per email, but they keep citing evidence, especially about Egypt. They go on Egypt. They go on underwater settlements, the evidence on underwater evidence, and then they move to a little part of conspiracy, where they speak about the Georgia Guidestones. They speak a little bit about the Georgia Guidestones. He mentions Elon in an interview where he's speaking about other reasons why the world can end. So ice age, the pole shifting, the global cooling, volcanoes, and they also say if the elite, or if they, whoever they are, would know all of this, would they tell us, and what are they doing about it? So then they speak about bunkers that are being constructed, underground cities, and that takes them to the Egyptian pyramids. So from there it begins all the story about the Egyptian pyramids. The way that they explain Atlantis at the beginning, they do Egyptian pyramids now. All the stones, why is it ridiculous that this story makes sense? What they told us, that they carry these stones in wood or whatever, that's impossible. So how do they move the stones? How do they cut the stones? And there's any hieroglyphs that say anything about this process? And all other pyramids around the world, like how are they connected? How is it possible that these civilizations so far away from each other, that didn't know that each other existed, made so similar structures? From them, the last topic is completely about news, conspiracy, and politics. So they start with Elon's picture, one picture he posted on Twitter, that this guy says that it's a fabricated picture or planned. And then they start talking about Twitter, about freedom of speech. They speak about the academia controlling all the information. They speak about Rumble, very important, very nice platform. They talk about the Twitter files, super important, about TikTok, about Kari Lake. Then they move to politics from Kari Lake, Joe Biden. They go back to Twitter, and then they speak about Donald Trump and his social media platform, Truth Social. So that's it. Very straightforward episode. A lot about ancient civilizations, some about news and conspiracies in the current world. So it was pretty simple to timestamp, and I hope you found it useful, and you can then go to the episode and check out the parts that you like. So, and that is a wrap for another JRE in a nutshell. Thank you very much for listening to my episode and for checking out my channel. Please recommend me, share me on Twitter, on Instagram. I have profiles everywhere. Here's the link. And please, the word of mouth for me is the most important. Also, if you have any recommendations or any ideas or any suggestions about what I do, please share, comment, hit me a comment, and I'll do my best to respond. Right now I don't have that many, so I'll respond easily. And yeah, I hope you like the episode, and I will see you next week. Bye.